I've kind of rethought my preamble subject now. It's not that funny.
Yeah. Much like most things you say.
It didn't take a lot.
No, right, I'll tell you what it was, but like, so essentially, feminist and transgender people are apparently like kind of going to war, not literally, but because they're revisiting some sort of act, like the Gender Assignment Act or something.
Wait, so feminists are against transgender people?
Yeah,
because they've ganged up and are attacking someone.
No, they are
attacking each other.
Attacking each other. So essentially, the government, or I can't remember if it's America or here, but the government are looking at this thing called the Gender Association Act, and essentially they're looking at it so that, like changing your name, you'll be able to go and change your gender, so that transgender people will be, in a much more official way, be able to be identified with whatever they're comfortable with. And apparently feminists are just like, hold the fuck on 1 second. We didn't fight to be, like, to get equal rights for women just so you could pretend to be one. So apparently this is like a big thing between transgender people and feminists now. And I'm kind of like, is this what happens whenever the world gets too PC?
See, the problem is modern day feminists are just scumbags. Classic feminism is where it's at. Modern day feminism, all they want is power for themselves. Screw literally everyone who isn't a woman.
It is a good point. It was like, feminism was all about equality, and this literally does show that modern day feminism is no longer about equality. It is about
women getting everything. Yeah, modern day feminists are probably the nastiest people. It's like attacking transgender people as if they couldn't get any more hate.
Yeah, like, you know, like, it's not like their life is difficult enough, like, battling with their own personal issues, that now you're just going to attack them for wanting to, like...
feminists. Imagine someone transitioning to be a woman and being rejected by feminists.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But there's a girl in my work who's a little bit of a keyboard warrior, if you will, and likes to, like, obviously... social justice and all this crap, and I turned around and said there, so who do you support? And you can literally see her brain melting because she didn't know who to support. She's like, I'm a feminist, but I also like transgender rights. So yeah, I just, it's mental. This is the world we live in.
I could go on about modern day feminism, but we'll just stop.
I mean, we're called the Bash Bros, not the Bash Sisters, so...
Well, I mean... if we all transitioned, then we could be the Bash Sisters. And then feminists would hate us even more.
Nick, whenever you do your intro, I know the way you go, brothers and sisters. Could you go, brothers and sisters, and everything in between?
No.
Why? That's much more incorporating. It's less binary.
Yeah, but...
I don't know. I feel like if you're emphasizing something like that...
No, but like, it's less it's pointing them out, yes, but it's still incorporating.
I call like everyone in work, dude, regardless if they're male or female. I see brothers and sisters as the same sort of thing.
I can see where you're coming from. I call everyone in work useless, and I mean, I can totally see where you're coming from.
I actually just walk around calling everyone and all day.
Great, so what's that? Transgender people, feminists, and now Catholics. Fantastic. All the hate.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to the Not So Super Bash Bros presents Game Club for July 2018. Yes, Game Club is back. The monthly video podcast thing where we take turns. We take turns. We take turns picking a game, go play them for the month, and come back and discuss them for your listening pleasure. This month, IY picked Ori and the Blind Forest. And as ever, I am the Blind Forest, Nick Davis, joined by the Deaf Woods, Hans Davis.
What do you say?
The Mute Plains, Alex Proudfoot. And the Dumb Swamp, IY Cham.
Duh.
Nailed it.
I love how we actually all reacted to what he said for a change.
So what else are you going to do?
Yes, Ori and the Blind Forest by Moon Studios, the action platformer. released 11th of March 2015 on the PC.
I'm saving that and putting it.
Yep, throw that up while next speaking.
Trying to fucking host a show here.
Hey man, I'm just showing you my reply.
Fucking hate you guys.
Oh, this is really good.
Yes, Ori and the Blind Forest by Moon Studios, the action platformer Metroidvania game, originally released on the 11th of March 2015 on the PC and Xbox One. Why? Ori and the Blind Forest was your game. Why?
Well, for once, I thought I'd pick something that was like kind of mentioned in media semi-recently, and because I believe was it the second game was announced at E3 or was shown a bit of, and it's very much a game, just like Hollow Knight, where like I was quite interested in it, but Metroidvanias were definitely not my kind of thing. But stuff like Hollow Knight kind of changed my mind about it, and so I wanted to try this, and it was the Steam Summer Sale.
So yes, as ever, I have broken this down into 3 categories to discuss: gameplay,
Awesome.
art and style.
Yeah.
And as RY touched upon, I would like to discuss the sequel and what we would like to see in a sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest as our final category.
The forest is no longer blind.
It can see again.
Yep.
So before we kick this off, I completed the game. Hans,
I completed the game.
Alex,
I completed the game.
and RY.
I too finished the game.
So yes, let's kick things off with the gameplay. It's pretty... It's probably a decent comparison to call this a very fast-paced action platformer with some very slight Metroidvania vibes. I thought there'd be a lot more, to be fair. But a lot of the gameplay is you dealing with different platforming sections while there is some very light combat in there as well.
I agree. Let's move on.
I hate you guys.
The combat was very light.
I agree,
Combat
but I don't
sucks.
think the combat sucks.
Combat
I
sucks.
feel like
Well, we're gonna have to disagree, Hans.
I think it's there. I don't know. I don't think it sucks. I think it's the way it's been done is fine. But because it's clearly not supposed to be the focus of the game is the combat.
Do I have combat?
Yeah. So, in my opinion, right now, this might be a bit of a loose comparison, right? But I felt that the game, in terms of gameplay, that is right, was quite poor at the start, up until you get the dash, quote unquote, skill, which is like the counter move, and then the game feels quite fast and a lot more fluid, and in a lot of ways. So this is the comparison I'm going to make. Now, I have not played many. I have not actually played these games, right? But you're a Sonic fan, Hans, right?
Yes, I am indeed a Sonic fan.
Now, the big thing that Sonic added in their game was the dash attack thing, wasn't it? Like that was the big thing that was
the homing
added.
attack. Yeah,
The homing attack, right?
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, I feel like Ori does a really good job with its like dash thing because it's like part of the environment and it keeps you moving. But correct me if I'm wrong, but in Sonic games, it's very much like you do a bit of running, then there's like an area where there's lots of enemies, then you like homing attack to each of them, and then you do a bit more running. And it's like kind of like that repeat of using that ability. But I feel like a game...
In the 3D games, yes. Yeah.
So I feel like Ori does a really good job after you get the dash thing to keep the flow of the game going until you fuck up and die, like I do, right? But I think it's actually such a great use of something like that.
Like it blends kind of navigation and quote unquote that combat. I suppose that's technically kind of combat because you can fling people into like spikes and stuff.
I feel like if they had just taken out the missiles and just made it so that the only way to kill stuff was the counter, that would have been quite cool. But like the weenie like bullety things are just like eh.
So you're saying the combat's bad, but to me, I don't think that the combat or the missile attack takes away from the game. I feel like it doesn't necessarily add anything amazing to it, but I think it's there, and I did use it, and I think it's fine. But in my mind, if you're going to make that sort of game where you have probably more enemies than necessary, you do need some sort of attack that isn't just a parry. I would prefer the combat in this to Hollow Knight, honestly.
Let's not get into that. that was an argument for a different podcast. I kind of I don't think the combat is necessarily bad. I just think it's very simplistic.
Yeah.
Like, it's not necessary. Like, it is far too easy to just, like, stand there and sit and mash X and kill an enemy without having to do much to, like, avoid the enemy.
It's just not very satisfying.
Oh, yeah,
That's the
I
problem.
don't disagree with that, but I don't think it's necessarily bad.
Yeah, because if it was bad, it would take away from the game, and I don't think it does.
See, I find that as soon as I got the dash thing, the most fun I had was just skipping enemies, was like hopping between each of them and just booking it, like never not running, right? And that felt good, so it did. And I got to like run past all the environments and all looked really nice. But then whenever I had to stop and like mash X, it was like, well, what am I really doing here? Like, I think if you want to say that like the shooting stuff is simple, fine, but like I think the reason why the dashing shit is like really good is because that's also really simple, but it has a lot more meaning, and it makes
There's more skill involved. Yeah,
it's not even that; it just feels satisfying, right? Whenever you're doing it, and you're all Matrix style, right? But then,
especially the curved ones where you have to like angle it properly so it actually gets the right height to land on it.
then
You know, stuff like that. Whereas you can just hide behind a rock and press X and kill something.
yeah, I did that a lot.
Like, with that, there's no risk in the combat. If you just, you know, you can be standing on a cliff and just shoot down.
But I feel like you say that there's no risk. I feel like the dash doesn't change that at all, because the dash's timing window is so generous.
It is,
yeah,
but there,
and even the distance as well is generous.
yeah, but there is still a risk to that. You're still running into a projectile or an enemy. Like, there's still something. But if I'm just mashing X, like
Behind cover
Yeah.
where an enemy can't actually hit you.
yeah, like there's nothing to worry
Like,
about.
if you mess up a dash, you will get hit, but you can't mess up stand behind a rock. Press next.
It takes a lot to mess up a dash.
I feel like they make it so difficult to mess up the dash.
Like you would have to like be distracted by like something happening outside to miss the time.
I would have
window.
to put the controller down mid-jump to probably miss one.
Like, you could take the shooting out of that game, and you wouldn't notice.
I'd probably enjoy the game more if it had no shooting.
See, I feel like the difference between it and the dash is they work the dash into the actual like platforming as well, which you can't do with a weapon, essentially. I feel like that's maybe why the weapon, so to speak, feels a lot less inconsequential.
The
Because
weapon
you can't work it into the puzzle solving aspect of the
Hey
game.
man, you hold down that button to blow up doors, right?
See, that's what I was supposed to say. Like the weapon feels more like a traditional Castlevania sort of thing, where it seems more of a key to open up new areas, more so than an actual weapon of sorts.
But yes, if that is IWA's biggest issue with the game, I'm going to then promptly shit all over him right now, because I have far bigger issues with the way this game plays. One of my major points for the gameplay was, I think whenever you're nailing everything, like timing-wise, I think the game is incredible. But they put a lot of things in there to kind of prevent you doing that, which really bugged me. So, the big thing I realized was, during the second set piece, when you're escaping one of the wind tree, is it?
Yeah.
There was a lot of obstacles they put in your way that would be near impossible to avoid the first time through. Like, they are almost purposely making the player die so they know that an obstacle is there, which I feel like is bad design. Like, I shouldn't have... I get that this is like a precision platformer, but my key comparison to that is something like Super Meat Boy. Super Meat Boy is designed in such a way that every level is clearable the first time through if you're good enough. I don't feel like that's possible in Ori. Like, there's a lot... the situation, this example that's stuck in my head is when you're making the escape, you have to like jump across and wait for a platform to fall so you don't get squished by it before you then like continue climbing up the wall.
Yeah, there are lots of times where like there are triggers like
There's
that.
a lot of times where that happens, and I personally feel like there's no... Unless you have the reaction times of a fucking F1 driver, then you're dying that first time, and to know that obstacle's there.
A similar issue, it was the in the final chase with Kura, the owl. Whenever the fire's spreading through the forest and the trees and stuff are falling down, the number of times I was killed by falling debris, and I'm just like, how am I supposed to even try and dodge this stuff? It's a good point. I think it's a good point, but I feel like maybe it's the genre of the game. I didn't bother me all that much. Because like in Super Meat Boy, it didn't bother me when I died 110 times.
I think my next bad point maybe ties into... No, that's more for the next section, sorry. The only other, like, it's a minor nitpick, but it's something I noticed was, I wish the game had a better indication of when you were, like, low on health.
I mean, Is it not just kind of on the screen?
I mean,
It is, but like
you do have a health bar.
There is a health bar, but I feel like it's very that health bar. The UI itself to me, as well as a lot of other things, it blends in with the art style quite a lot for me personally. And I like there are a couple of times I got hit by an enemy and died. And was like, oh, I didn't actually realize I was that low on health. But like there are times where I've been running through and like one of those early spiked like shooting enemies has hit me. I was like, oh fuck, that killed me because I had no indication of what my health was without looking at the very bottom of the screen.
No, to me that's a bit of a stretch for me. I think it's fine. Like I just like in any other game, really, what's the other indication is okay, your health bar gets a bit low and it turns from green to red. Like, you know, to me that didn't bother me in the slightest.
I don't know. For a game where because I'm so focused on like looking ahead at what the next jump is or something, I feel like forcing me to look somewhere else is a bit weird. Like even just like a red tint around the edge of the screen or something.
Okay, well,
something
like
very subtle.
To me, my issue with the health was if it was say a challenge room where you could they kind of want you to kind of do it in all one big go. If I fucked up once or got hit by an enemy once, I just felt like, you know what, there's no point in continuing. I'll just die and respawn at the start of the room.
So the thing I was going to point out is like, what is the difference? Whether or not you know what your health is. Like, does that make you play differently? Because
yes.
It really didn't. Like, in this kind of game anyway.
No, it didn't.
In this game, like, it really...
I just dropped a save before I did anything.
Yeah, and then... Which, again, is actually another point I actually don't like. I actually don't like the whole, like, you make your own checkpoints thing.
Yeah.
I don't see what that adds.
Especially when you get about halfway through, because they give you so much energy, you just save before you do anything.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, if the game gives you a blue orb, chances are you should probably save. Chances?
Like, by the end of the game, I had it so that the save cost half an orb.
Yeah.
And it healed me, so why wouldn't I do it?
I don't know, I actually quite like the making your own save thing. I thought it was like a extra kind of challenge to it that you couldn't just drop a save point whenever you wanted. Now, don't get me wrong, you're right, it does get easier as the game goes on, but is that not kind of rewarding you for, you know, investing in that skill line?
Yeah, not really, because you get the ability points so fast.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I liked it. I thought it was
because by the end of the game,
novel.
I basically maxed out all 3 rows. But then again, I'm not doing definitive, so I don't know if there's more in definitive.
You sound so bitter when you said that. Like, I'm not doing definitive. I don't know.
He is bitter about it. That's the thing, because they stopped doing the deal to get the like cheap version of the definitive edition if you own the original game.
Well, like none of you played the definitive version, like content, so.
You never know,
it's hard to tell.
Maybe we did go to those zones.
You would have got the ability then.
Maybe we're just blind.
Maybe we just didn't find the tree.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you get it quite quickly.
How would you know you don't have the definitive edition?
I looked at
Yeah, back on topic, right? I feel so. Alex pointed this out earlier, right, about the terrain thing, right? The big sort of thing that's kind of similar is that. This only happened really at that one time. That is during that first tree, those thorns. And I think I had a lot of situations where it felt like the hitbox on either the terrain or myself just seemed a little bit off. And I'm starting to feel like it wasn't to do with that, but rather, have you noticed how far out the camera is in comparison to a lot of these kind of games? Like, your character is really small in this game. And so your hitbox in comparison to other things is actually like a little bit harder to see, which is fine for most of the game, except for I felt the first tree where those thorns, and to be fair, it was me rushing through it a lot, but like I didn't feel that bit was as intuitive. But that's the only area where I felt that, to be honest.
But then you say like you're so small on the screen. Kind of look at other we're probably going to harp back to this game like so many times. Look at Super Meat Boy, which is also a precision platformer, and holy flying fuck, you are tiny on that screen. I never felt the hitboxes were unfair in that. Now, I get where you're coming from. It was the wind tree for me, where I thought the hitboxes were off, you know, where you're having to use the feather to kind of glide through the areas where there's just all spikes.
Yes.
Yeah, I felt like the hitbox was a bit off on that one. But I don't think it's down to the format of the game. I just think the hitboxes could be a bit wonky at times.
Anything else, guys?
Is there... No. Is there anything else in terms of gameplay?
No. I thought the enemy's art was kind of like
Hey, we'll get the art and style out.
Okay, alright, okay, yeah.
Are we covering story and art and style?
Suppose you can. Whatever little story there was.
I really like the story, actually.
We'll get to that, Hans.
Alright, that's secret middle fucking thing then. Let's discuss the story.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really well done. It was simple, but really effective. It was fucking
Right, because
awesome.
Nick and I looked this up last night. Alright? So, Hans, what is the story?
Do you want the blurb, or do you want, like...
Bullet points. What happened in the story?
So,
Okay.
Ori is a child of the tree, of the forest. What's it, the life tree or something? But it gets separated.
Yeah.
So, it is then adopted by... Does the mother have a name?
Yes, but I cannot remember what that is.
We'll call it the mother. The tree then freaks out and sends out a light to try and find Ori. When it does so, it kills the babies of Kura, which is the owl, because they are animals of the dark and light hurts them. Kura then, once finds out her babies have been killed, steals the power source of the Tree of Life, or Life Tree, or whatever it
Which
is
is just
called.
sitting up there.
Which is just sitting there, yeah, in the root, which is cool. That then allows, because the light's not there to protect it, all these creatures of the forest come out and start corrupting the forest. And then Ori goes out and has to reactivate, was it 3 pillars, or 3 large beacons of the forest? One is a tree of wind, one is a temple of water, and one is a volcano of fire, I believe. Along the way, he meets Gomo,
I say Gumo.
whose people have also been affected by the taking away of the water stone for the temple. I don't know how much detail you want me to go in here, but we'll fast forward to he ends the mother then, who we thought was dead because the corruption of the forest was limiting the food supply, turns out not to be dead, is revived by the water stone, which Gomo used to revive her. Gumbo used to revive her because of the kindness Ori showed him earlier. Then the mother then finds Ori and defends him. Is Ori a guy or a girl?
Neutral.
Transgender.
Right. Defends Ori from Kura, who's about to kill her, and then Kura...
Damn it,
and then Bakura, seeing the kindness of a mother and then remembering her own children, replaces the light source back in the tree, and the light then wipes away all the impurities of the forest.
And kills her.
Yes.
And then the mother takes the egg.
Yeah,
Then they make an
egg that was
omelette.
left over.
That's great.
Yep.
And then it just starts to hatch at the end of the game. How was that for a story?
That's pretty good. Pretty good.
Oh, that was
Why
more
did you
than we
ask
could
me this
remember
anyway?
anyway.
Did you not get the story or something?
We thought there was maybe some hidden
couldn't
meaning,
Yeah, but no, we couldn't fill in the gap between Ori getting separated and then all this shit happening.
No,
we
it's
didn't know
because
what
they were
triggered Kuro's children dying and all that.
It's because they're all creatures, all those creatures. The reason you can hurt them is because you're firing light projectiles at them. That's the whole thing. Is they're all creatures of the dark, and then the light from the tree of life was keeping them all away, and then they came in and corrupted the forest.
See, because whenever you see Kuro change, the eyes change and stuff, I always thought that something had happened to it, but then surely the light shouldn't hurt it if it was something else. I don't know. I just felt as I said to Necro, I felt the overarching story wasn't that interesting. But I thought, because it was just another, as a character, it was another one of those, I don't know, like Zelda, where it's go to the water temple, then you go to the fire thing, then you go to the wind thing, and you throw a boomerang, right? And shit like that, right? But I really liked the individual, stories. I loved the mother, as you have now called her. I loved that aspect. The feels at the start of the game, right? Love that. And I love, Kuro's story.
Naru.
Oh, yeah, it is called Naru, isn't it?
Naru,
yeah. I love Kuro's story. I couldn't give a damn about Gumo. even if it is sad, like he just looks weird, right? He just looks very weird.
Like to me, I can understand where you're coming from. The story itself is not necessarily interesting, but I still think it's very well told because it proves that you don't need 110 different twists and for there to be 7 different murderers and stuff like that. I think it's so well told that, and because you kind of reveal the motives and stuff for Kura and why she did all the things, like it's all paced out very well. I think it's just really, really interesting. Don't get me wrong, at no point was I wasn't really playing to find out the next story beat, but when I did find the next story beat, I was just like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, and then I just felt like the game just ends.
I liked it.
It's really dramatic,
Yes,
and then
it
just ends.
It's like there is a very sudden stop after that, like last set piece.
Like you're there, like so you finish the set piece, and then you're about to fly away on the feather, and then boom, dramatic, like you get pinned on, you get chucked to the side, it's like, and then like Naru comes on, it's like, yo, look, it's a kid, you have kids, be cool.
Like, there's no indication that like that's the end of the game. Like, there's no build up to it. Is the thing? Like, it just feels like, oh, suddenly we're at the end of the game. Here we go.
You say that though, but like on the menu there is 6 markers, and then by the at the end of the 6 markers, that's it. Like to me, the only thing it could have done more is maybe one final boss fight with Kura. That's it. I don't think that it ends that abruptly. Like to me, I saw 6 markers and I filled in those 6 markers and I kind of assumed, okay, so there's going to be one final boss fight after that, or that's just going to be the end. So to me, I don't think it ended that jarringly at all. It's like whenever a game has chapters, are you surprised when it ends after like chapter 10?
Well, yes.
Depends how many chapters there are.
Yeah, well.
If there's 20 chapters, then yes, I am surprised.
But like, I don't know, like to me, I thought it ended fine. Like, I would maybe have liked one more boss fight with Kura, but other than that, no, I thought it ended fine.
I am also in the boat, and I agree with some of what Hans says, but the ending is like, it feels like the game's ramping up to something more, not to ramp up and then just like you drop off a cliff for the ending kind of stuff.
Like, I think the ending is good.
Oh yeah, no, the ending's good, but it just happens.
There just need to be some kind of gameplay thing just in between.
Yeah.
I don't know what it could have been. Like
a boss fight.
Like maybe you running, kind of.
But that's what you do. You that's how you get to that point. Is that you do a chase scene with Kura. I think there needs to be like some sort of boss fight where like you drop rocks on her head or something.
I feel like there had to be a moment where like maybe you finish the fire thing, then like you go back, like maybe like you go back thinking that everything is okay, and then something. I don't know. I was just very surprised when it just ended.
Yeah, it feels like there should be more.
I disagree for another reason, which is it was at the Fire Temple I really started to get frustrated with the game, and I thought if this goes on any longer, I might not finish it.
See, I was the opposite.
Oh.
I was really frustrated in the Middle Temple, but the Fire Temple actually got me back into it, and then I was actually really bummed that it ended.
No, the Fire Temple with that whole like, you have to start at the top and then work your way down the doors.
I thought that was kind of tedious.
Yeah.
I did think that was kind of long.
So to me, I was just, at that point, I was like, right, this bit needs to end or else I'm going to get really fed up. And then it did end. I was like, that was the perfect amount of like difficulty to the end. I was like, I didn't need any more, and I probably would have quit. That's it. Perfect. You've given me what I wanted. I feel fulfilled. That's the end.
I have to say, the puzzles in those rooms, though, they were pretty good. It was just too many of them.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. The one puzzle that I really liked was the one, I think it's in the first temple, the water temple, where you've just gotten the dash ability and you need to like redirect
all the balls,
the ball
shot
up to like the top of it. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's cool, but man, I fucked it up so many times.
Yeah, no,
where enemies respawned and it's just like, oh,
it's very cool to do, but my god, was it a pain in the ass.
I think there was one puzzle that like stumped me for like a moment, and it was in the, it counts as the win one, right? The or like the one where you have to hold the ice orb thing, right? And you know, that's like the anti-gravity one.
Yeah.
There's a bit where you have to like where if you hold it, you like drop to the right and you need to like boomerang around.
Yeah.
And that bit like stumped me for a minute. I was like, wait, what am I supposed to do here? And it was fine. Like, it is fine, but it was just like a moment.
because I didn't understand what was happening. I thought if I jumped off, I was just going to continue being. I thought it was like gravity to a central point of that. I didn't think if I jumped off, gravity was now just facing a new direction.
Yeah.
I have to say, the puzzles and the trees were very well done.
Yeah.
Art and style.
Awesome. Loved it.
So my only thing is, I think we kind of briefly touched on it as well. The art is very good, but there are certain times where certain hazards kind of blend in with the art a bit too much. Like, they're not immediately apparent as, oh, that's dangerous.
I was actually the opposite, where I thought, oh shit, that looks dangerous, and it turned out it was in the background. And so I would like avoid trying to jump on that area, and then I'd be like, okay, you know what, fuck it, and then try it. And then it's like, oh, that's not dangerous because it's like apparently 100 yards away. But no, I think that's nitpicking. I think on the whole, this game looks fucking amazing.
Oh yeah, the game looks amazing. It's just there are maybe certain points where certain things do not stand out as much as they should.
I didn't have that issue, though I am colorblind, so I probably...
But that means that's probably more of a fact that like you're colorblind and didn't have an issue with it. Maybe it's just Nick.
Take that,
thick.
Nick. Take that.
Alex's colorblindness playing a pro for him for once.
That's also not necessarily true.
What? I can't hear you. Are you singling out Alex for his colorblindness?
No, I'm saying that you're maybe grossly imagining what colorblindness actually does at times.
It just swaps some colors about.
Yeah, exactly. It swaps some colors about, so he could see two completely like contrasting colors that aren't actually contrasting.
Bro, he's taking the piss out of your colorblindness. Beat him up.
This is not
It happens all the time, Hans. I'm pretty sure you've done it quite a lot.
Yeah, but it's not strengthening my point this time, so fuck him up.
Remember whenever he gave you that brown coloring pencil or something?
Yeah, you made me color in the sun.
I was 5. Jesus Christ. I hadn't even hit fucking puberty yet.
such a dick, Hans.
Yeah, but you probably still would have done it.
I was totally
you'd do it even more now because you'd actually be thinking, oh, this would be really funny.
Yeah, once a dick, always a dick.
But yeah, as I was trying to mention earlier, I wasn't like blown away by like enemy designs in this game. Like, I wanted more of like, you know, like Kuro's just like a big bird that's like corrupted.
Yeah,
I would love to see like more stuff like that instead of like what we did. Like, you know, I like seeing the spiders, like that was cool, but like things that were a bit more
like
natural.
weird gangly jumping thing is
like,
weird.
I want to see like, I don't know, a big old praying mantis like going nom 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 on me. Like,
I don't know, like I liked all the animals. My issue was with they used jellies quite a lot. That was my issue. Like, I think jelly's a really uninspired enemy choice. Yeah. And I love the big jumping frog thing. Sorry, slimes.
Iconic in-game sense.
I love like the big jumping frog. You know, I love the spiders and all that stuff. And even Gumu was awesome. See, even though Alex thinks he's weird.
That's where I disagree. I think the still art and a lot of the moving art too does look incredible. God damn it!
You're on fire today with these pictures.
I feel like a lot of the still art is incredible, and then my issue is certain moving things look very like I think Gomu looks very out of place in certain scenes. Like he seems like he's from a completely different game in certain scenes. Like he just looks like hold up, like you look weird. You shouldn't be here. Yeah, I really like, but I think like mainly it was Gomu and some of the enemies like Gomu especially because he was obviously 3D modeled. Yeah. And it was like he looks like he's from a completely different game and shouldn't be here. He did look
2D at times, didn't he?
Yeah. He looked like I think weird. I think maybe bar Ori, all the all the actual characters are 3D modeled, but like Gomu particularly looked like very out of place in certain like there were certain ones where he's like you can like it's when he has like the orb and he's swinging away from you, like he doesn't actually look like he's in the scene. He looks like he's overlaid on it.
Speaking of the 2D art, my favorite bit is whenever you reach the top, not of the wind tree, but when you're collecting that orb and you break through the clouds. That bit's fucking awesome. That bit where you collect like the windstone and it's like walking out of the vault in a Fallout game. And the light just disperses and you can see everything. They had that sense of awe about it.
So yes, recently, 2 years ago, I believe it was E3 2017, a year ago, Ori and the Will of the Wisps was announced as a sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest. And this E3, it got a proper like gameplay trailer with a 2019 release date. So with that in mind, obviously we've kind of had some discussions here, but like, and I think you and I watched the trailer again last night just to kind of remind ourselves what was actually in it. What would you like to see in the sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest? Because from what I can tell from that trailer, Ori has a bow and arrow.
Yeah, she does, or he, or it. Yeah.
I like the sound of that.
That seems to be. It looks like that's going to replace the just auto attack thing. So it looks like they've taken that. They've taken that on board. Like the fact people maybe don't like the combat.
I want to play as the hatchling.
Well, the hatchling is confirmed to be in it, and like it seems like you are essentially one hat. You, Naru,
you've gone from using the feather to using the hatchling to fly around.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'd accept that.
I would like them to explore the world a bit more. Like, why is there light creatures and dark creatures, and what is the relationship between the two? Part of me is kind of like, because I vaguely remember some of that trailer, and it looks like Kura comes back at some point, or there is another.
No,
I
think
another
it
bird.
looks like that mechanical bird kind of looks like Kura when it first appears.
So part of me is wondering is maybe what they're doing for the story is that are they trying to bring the hatchling back to wherever the shadow like animals live or something? You know, like maybe that's what the journey is for this one.
So I'm gonna say, right, that instead of elements being the theme, right, it's the fire, wind, earth, water thing, it's gonna be like 4 or 3 animals. Because in the trailer you see a big wolf thing. I'm pretty sure it's a wolf. Then you have the big bird thing, and it's got to be like 3, 4, right? Give you some content.
Now you gotta repopulate that forest after it was on fire.
Well, is Ori gonna run around fucking everything?
I want that in the sequel.
Okay.
No, all the animals ran away. You gotta bring them back.
Oh, so it's not Pokemon, sorry, Digimon World. You gotta go out and recruit them back.
So I thought this was a very good game. There was just maybe 1 or 2 repeated issues that maybe like they weren't just one-off things. They were maybe a bit repeated a bit too often that kind of hampered my enjoyment. But still, overall, I did think this was very good, and I am very much like after playing it, I am very much looking forward to see what they do in the sequel.
I absolutely fucking love this game a lot more than I thought I was going to. Like, I have very few nitpicks about this. I thought it was the perfect length. I love the combat. It was fantastic. And I really love the story. I would recommend this game to literally anyone.
It's fun. It is I would say it's quite short for what it is. But the art and soundtrack are very nice. The story is pretty good. Combat's pretty lacking. But yeah, it's a fun wee game.
I think the game was great. I was pleasantly surprised, I would say. And I would recommend to everyone because I think it is very, very inviting to players who don't play this kind of stuff. Like Hans and his combat. Like, anyone can love it.
Overall, very positive opinions on Ori and the Blind Forest. Highly recommended. But now, down to brass tacks, lads.
But forget about that shit. Listen to this.
Starting this year, we decided to do it differently. We're not going to rank individual rounds. We're just doing one yearly list of Game Club. It's top 5 time. I have my top 5 games of this.
Are we doing everyone's like
full list? Yeah.
Oh, full list.
Full list.
I thought we were gonna
we're not doing 555 because that's really silly when someone then like has to like immediate like say I've put something as 5, but then you've put it as 4. You're just repeating what I've said like further on down the line.
I'm gonna move my list slightly. Let's move that to here.
So I'm going to quickly run through what we did this year, and then I will start. So, started Hitman 2016, followed by Hollow Knight, followed by Grand Theft Auto 5, then Ultimate Chicken Horse, then Oddworld Stranger's Wrath, Hand of Fate 2, Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator, Bayonetta, A Way Out, Icy, Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair, and finally, as we just discussed, Ori and the Blind Forest. Highs and lows in there.
Hills and valleys.
Very, very deep valleys.
I see.
God damn it, Alex.
Yeah, god damn you, I see. God.
So I will kick things off with my top 5. Number 5, Ultimate Chicken Horse. I really enjoyed it as a cooperative game. It was nice, and it was nice to hang out with my bros.
You say cooperative?
You know, co-op competitive type thing.
There was nothing cooperative about what we were doing.
Hey, you work together
You were
to
literally
build that
trying to kill
level.
each other, like.
You work together to build the level.
I don't know. I felt like whenever we were playing that, I was thinking, I'm building this to murder everyone else. Like,
Oh yeah, I wanted to kill you guys. Like, that's just.
Number 4, Ori and the Blind Forest. As just discussed, I very enjoyed it. I just had some minor nitpicks. Number 3, Grand Theft Auto 5. I thought it was very good. Going back to play it was fun, and it's not a surprise that it is like the best-selling game ever. Number 2, Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator.
what?
I
It's an interesting choice.
really love Dream Daddy. I thought it was very well written. I really enjoyed it. There were some minor issues with it, but overall, I think the charm and the writing in it far outweighed those issues. And number 1,
Drum roll.
A Way Out. I could easily see Way Out being on my own personal Game of the Year list this year, and from top to bottom, I thought it was absolutely outstanding in so many ways. Hans, hit me with your top 5.
Number 5, GTA 5.
Oh,
I'm a Rockstar fanboy through and through. I think that game is fun. Even like whenever you can enjoy a game just by fucking about in the open world, that's how you know it's a good game. Number 4, Dream Daddy. That game is just charming and fun and like it's just emotional and just one of the best dating sims I've ever played, even though I will admit I don't play many. Number 3, which was my number 1 for the entire year until this cycle.
okay.
Right.
Hitman 2016. I don't like stealth games, but this game was so good, it was able to get me over that hurdle. It's stealth, but it's a very dynamic sort of stealth, and it's just awesome and fun.
Holy shit. Hans is going to put Icy at number 1.
Dude, I don't think Icy made anyone's list, so...
Number 2, Ori and the Blind Forest. I adored this game, but from the gameplay to the art to the story, absolutely adored it. And number 1, Icy. No, number 1's The Way Out. That game's just like it's dramatic. It's a good story. You can play it with your friends, and it is
You
fun.
can only play it with your friends.
Yeah, there wasn't a single moment of A Way Out that I didn't enjoy, apart from the arm wrestling. It can go fuck itself.
I thought you enjoyed that. I thought it was me that didn't enjoy that.
I
Yeah,
enjoyed it but my fingers didn't. So
Was it not because it broke for you though, more than anything?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not the game's fault. Alex, top 5, mate.
So, at number 5, I have a tie.
That's
So it's a top 6.
Well, no, because I like them both equally. At number 5.
So
yes, it's the top 6.
You can look at it that way if you want. So,
I'm going to take the first game he says and then cut out everything else.
okay, I'll just go with Ori and the Blind Forest, number 5. The other tie one was GTA 5, but screw it. Right? Ori and the Blind Forest is number 5.
Oh, but Hans is a Rockstar fanboy. What's he going to do now?
No, he's called it. GTA's out.
I mean, he can cut it whatever way he wants.
Yeah, I have control over your words, remember that.
Nah. Ori and the Blind Forest is my number 5. I'm just going to keep repeating that. While I did have an issue with the combat, it was a fun game. The art was pretty good. The soundtrack was very good. The story was very good. Yeah, I just enjoyed it. Number 4, A Way Out. It's low because of the ending that I experienced, aka the coin flip. And while that's not the game's fault, that's entirely Hanson Nick's fault. I still enjoyed it. Number 3, Bayonetta. Had fun with that game, as frustrating as it could be, but that was because I was bad. Number 2, Danganronpa 2.
Oh.
I enjoyed it a lot more than everyone else.
Apparently, yes.
Apparently so. No, I really enjoyed Danganronpa 2. And number 1, Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight was a fantastic game, and you know what? They're still adding more free DLC to it.
It's going to be Alex's Game of the Year for 2018 again. But they're still adding more stuff. That's why it could be on my list again.
Hollow Knight, fantastic game.
I want to round this out here.
Number 5, I put Bayonetta. That was the game I picked, and I thought it was perfect. It was fine. It was as I remember it, but you know, one of those things where if you replay a game, like it's not gonna be as good usually. Anyway, number 4, I actually put Danganronpa 2. Although I had issues with the game because it was not as good as the first. Right at the end of the day, I knew what I was getting myself in for. Dumb anime, weird story crap, right? I don't get to play Phoenix Wright anymore. I haven't played the new ones for a while, so this was the closest thing I had to it. And I thought it was perfectly okay. Number 3, I put Ori and the Blind Forest. Because I thought, as we discussed here, it was very good. It was just really minor things that I didn't really like. And then number 2, I put Hollow Knight because of the scale of it. In my opinion, like Hollow Knight and Ori, you know, they both have great, you know, art assets and music and shit like that. But like, in my opinion, I think Hollow Knight is just a much grander game. And in my opinion, against the Davises, I think it has good combat, right? As opposed to Ori's. So I think it overtakes it there. And then number 1, the game I want to see more of is A Way Out, because there needs to be more games like that. And I felt that it was just the most fun I've had this year playing video games. Like watching Nick get beat up in a prison yard while I'm doing like pull-ups in the background. Like,
I mean, if you want, that can be arranged. That's not a problem.
Please, no.
I thought it was great, and you know, whenever I was like deciding the list, I just felt I was looking at like what I want more of. Like, you know, Bayonetta. Like back in the day, I wanted to play Bayonetta 2, but then Nintendo has it. And then, you know, obviously I want to play Danganronpa 3 at some point. We picked Ori because it's going to be a sequel, and genuinely looks like an improvement from what we discussed earlier about what we want to see. Like, it looks like there is stuff in that. And then Hollow Knight, as Alex said, there's already stuff being added to it. And then A Way Out, just more co-op games, guys.
Before we wrap this up, one last piece of business. August is coming. Birthdays be happening.
Yeah, they are.
Yo.
Well, yeah, not for you. Sucks to be you, doesn't it?
It's fine.
So, I keep a running list of my Game Club games for ideas. So, this list is currently at 16 games. So, I asked for some help from you guys.
I just want to reiterate, it is stupid.
Why?
To have 16 games.
He's just prepared.
keep a running
He's
list
just prepared.
Yeah.
And really not prepared.
Game Club's never going to end.
Yeah, he's like super prepared and super not prepared.
Game
at the same
Club's
time.
never going to end, Alex. Go run forever. We're going to get through this list.
No, because you keep adding stuff to it, so it's never going to end.
Oh no, it's going to end because I'm also going to take off the games you also picked that I'm not picking as my game. Like, those are gone from the list now.
What?
Because that's how I'm doing this, man. It's great. So I asked you to pick 3 numbers, and you did. Those games correlate to, which I really should have picked this one because it's funny, Dead Island, which would have been really fun.
Oh my god, yes!
No, we're not playing Dead Island. We're not playing Dead Island. It's not.
Oh, thank God.
I really
There
wanted
is-
to pick it because it would have been really
Whose
funny.
number was that? Whose number?
That was yours.
Yes. Yes.
We're not playing Dead Island.
I don't know.
We're also
Dead Island's co-op, right?
not
There
playing.
is a
Dead
God.
Island's co-op, right? It's like,
Yeah, it could have been 4-player co-op if we wanted.
I think that would have
fun.
been okay.
Apparently, it is supposedly slightly fun in co-op.
We're also not playing Yakuza 0.
Oh, I'm actually kind of disappointed.
You said that was going to be your choice.
Instead, we are playing a different co-op game. One that does not have online co-op, though.
Wait.
Awkward.
We're going to play Lego Marvel Superheroes 2.
Wait,
that doesn't have online?
Yeah. Personally, I think Lego Marvel Superheroes is the best Lego game by a country fucking mile, and I'm excited to see what they could do with the sequel.
Nick, are you including Lego Dimensions?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
I love Lego Marvel Superheroes, and I'm very excited to play the sequel.
Is it out yet?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Okay.
So yes,
Has mixed reviews.
I like a good Lego game, although I do think they're taking the piss out of some of them now. Like Lego's Incredibles. How the fuck can you get an entire game out of 2 movies?
So yes, join us at the end of August where we'll be playing Lego Marvel Superheroes 2. But for now, this is goodbye from Hans.
Have a good one.
A goodbye from Alex.
Bye.
Goodbye from IY.
bye.
And a goodbye from me, Whip.
Does that mean Nick has won this year since I won last year? Because more people put a way out at the top.
Sure, if you think winning is a thing in this.
Yeah, I won last year because a lot of people put Danganronpa at the top, and now Nick has won this year. So apparently, IY and Alex, you just need to pick up your game scrubs.